Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how do you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages. Well, not kids because I curse, Frank. You know, you pointed that out a while ago. I would like to welcome you back to the Jaggernaut Podcast. It is me, Michael, as always, joined with my brother, Frank. Let him know who we repping. Duval. That's a good Duval.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's how I get.
Season's beginning. I gotta get informed.
Gotta get in. Yeah. Well, hey, we had all off season to work it out, and boy, we were struggling.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight or today's podcast. We are officially 2 days from the first Jaguar preseason game. It is the Hall of Fame game where we go to Canton, Ohio.
Exciting preseason games.
Yeah, to take on the Oakland Raiders, the vaunted Oakland Raiders.
Vegas Raiders, buddy.
Oh yeah, that's right. They are the Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Man.
Washington Commanders. Got to get these things straight, man.
Yeah,
Things change in the NFL, my man.
I'm gonna get them wrong. Same thing with like San Diego Chargers.
Oh
It's gonna take
LA.
me a while, so please just forgive me, guys. You know, you get used to it. You hear it over and over for so long. It just it is what it is. But yep. So that's who we're playing. Frank, camp observations. Camp has been going on almost for a week now. I think a little more than a week. We have had our first few practices in pads, which means, ladies and gentlemen, the hits are coming.
Yeah, and we touched on this last time, how it appeared that the offense was looking very good. Pads had yet to come on, I believe, when we had last had our conversation, the past conversation, and pads came on and the offense began to struggle. And we mentioned how the typical lingo or the storyline is the fact that the defense is usually ahead of the offense. And of course, that's exactly what they began to say as soon as the pads came on, and lo and behold, the offense struggled.
Right. Now, my understanding is that the offense is really just struggling in the red zone. Do you need time to check that?
No, I'm good.
We could pause.
Well, my phone's there. I just didn't want it to keep binging. I didn't.
Okay. Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
I'm not super important, and all of a
Brother,
sudden,
this is your podcast too. If you need to check your phone, you check your phone. But yeah, so typically that's what you always hear. You always hear that the defense, at least when the pads go on, the defense is always over the offense. And so that's what we're hearing. My understanding is that it's typically in the red zone, and that sort of makes sense. It goes along with the shortened field. You know, the throws are tighter. There's less openings to work the ball in, you know, because the receiver only has 3 or 4 yards before there's another guy right there if the offense isn't doing what they need to do. So I like that they're struggling. It gives them something to work on, give them something to focus on, something to look at.
Yeah.
It's
We also mentioned that was, you know, what we kind of wanted to see was some back and forth, offense wins, defense wins. And so it sounds like that we're getting that a bit. There's some, you know, it's differences one way or the other, because they're practicing against each other. So, you know, if it's a scenario where there's one thing that doesn't work out continually well, then you don't know if the other side is just that good or if the other side is just that bad. So the fact that they're doing some back and forth stuff is probably a good thing. Couple notes, the couple things that I've noticed is that the players that you want to play good, in regards to the fact that we, you know, have invested a lot, whether it be Trevor Lawrence is playing good, Travis Etienne has kind of been a star of camp. Brandon Sheriff has played well. He's the big free agent acquisition, stuff like that. Those type of players look like those type of
Josh
players.
Allen. Josh Allen said he wants to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Tyson Campbell. Tyson
Oh,
Campbell's
yeah.
playing well. He's
Chick-fil-A ain't open on Sunday, let me tell you.
right. And this is what you want to see. You want to see your guys that you've invested in. You want to see them standing out and looking like players that you're not hoping to develop. They look like they're there.
Right.
Whether it translates when the bullets are live is another question, but at least at this point, they're what you want to see.
All right, everybody wants to know about
Trevon.
Yeah.
Well, he's I think it's as expected. They talk about him as just how massive he is, how quick he is, how powerful he is. Then when the pads go on and he goes up against some linemen, he doesn't have any pass rush moves. It's what we've expected. Overall, I am happy with what I've seen and heard. In this respect, I don't expect, and I don't think anybody should expect a defensive end, especially a rookie defensive end, to have game-changing quarterback pressures and sacks in year one. You typically don't see that. I mean, that's pretty normal anyway. I think the league record is like 8 by maybe Myles Garrett, something like that. So, it's going to be a storyline we've mentioned before, how it's going to play out between him and Aiden Hutchinson, how that translates. My guess is you'll probably see Aiden with some more sacks than Trayvon, but I think we'll still be happy with Trayvon. My expectation is he's going to be a disruptor there, just sort of in a different way. And if he is that, then Josh Allen could pick up the slack on the sack part.
Actually, yeah. So I think it's been 2. It's either been 2 in a row, or he had one and then he didn't have one and then he had one again, something like that.
You talking about Allen?
No, Trevon, where he has batted balls down.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's the story.
So he's not
guy,
getting there. He's not getting there, but he's getting his hands up. So
yeah. Well, and we've mentioned this, the defensive line on paper appears to be some massive human beings. Like
it's 14.5 sacks. Javon Curse, 1999.
Oh, rookie. But that's the outlier. Most of them aren't any. It's been a long time since then. If you
yeah.
So so I mean, and the one of the things of that what brings to mind is the fact that I heard story was that Walker Little looks to be playing pretty well. Right. He went against both Allen and Trayvon and did really well against them. And as you mentioned, it's not unexpected to see him do well against Trayvon, but to do well against Josh Allen is good too. And the fact that Jawan Taylor is out, and I don't remember what his injury is. Is it
hamstring? Yeah, hamstring.
I hesitated to say hamstring because it feels like that's
it could be a calf.
Well, so, but I've never been a fan of Jawan Taylor. Or he's played his way out of my peripheral. I want him to be replaced. So I'm this could be a blessing in disguise, I guess, in a certain way, to see that give Walker this additional time, and maybe it's a scenario where they can then move Jawan inside.
Yeah, not saying, but it's happened before where players will get injured and then get traded. He may very well not be injured. he may have just lost the job, maybe something like that. So they're having some kind of an issue there. It
Oh, you're going
happen.
I
It
thought
does
I was the
happen.
conspiracy person.
Well, you are. You're just government, and I'm basically everybody. So, and it has happened.
So they don't, okay, yeah, they're trying to work a deal and they don't want him to get hurt in the process, so they pretend he's hurt.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. I'm not saying that's that's what's happening. I have not heard anything.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything, but it does seem fishy.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing too, because I was thinking about that, and we'll set that to the side, and let's assume it's on the up and up, and he's got a hamstring. With Shatley, when we drafted Fortner, my thought was Shatley would be the center, and Fortner would be the center of the future, but they would put him in at guard. Now it appears, just in case people don't know, Fortner's the one that seems to be getting all the reps, and Shatley's guard.
Ain't no seams.
Right.
Fortner's getting all the reps.
Yeah, which is good. Is good. Which is interesting because Shatley appears to me, what that means to me about Shatley is he's going to go back and be the swing guy, which is great because he can play all those things in the middle. So if something happens, you can plug him in and you don't really lose that much. What this is getting me thinking that is if Walker Little wins the right tackle job, then that means Jawan Taylor, I could see him moving over because right now Shatley's playing left guard because Sheriff's going to play right guard. Mm-hmm. And so that means Jawan will be beside Cam Robinson, possibly. I can see this working this way. And that could be a good thing because I think maybe Jawan, his issue isn't so much power, his issue is footwork. So at guard, it could be a good thing. And we could see if that starts to.
Now, last I heard, Jawan Taylor ain't no damn guard. That's what everybody says. Let me paraphrase. Let me paraphrase from Jawan Taylor. He ain't no damn guard.
Well, he ain't that great of a tackles. Not great tackles become guards.
Yeah, well, get in where you fit in.
NFL.
That's what. Yeah, you're an NFL player. Get in where you fit in.
Right. It may be a scenario where he plays that now and until his contract's up. I mean, which would be this offseason. So
yeah. So it wouldn't be very long.
No, and he's on tape.
He's accruing another NFL season, so good for him. All of it's positive. Shut up, show up, and play. It's all positive. All right. So what else we got next?
Snoop Connor. That was something that
Snoop Connor.
With James Robinson on the mend.
Snoop Dogg.
I like that I like that there's some buzz about him because we need somebody who can step in and replace Robinson because it's not as much as ETN is electric in camp. I don't see him being a full 3-down running back. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean, if you think about it, even in terms of when they talk about him, best case scenario being Alvin Kamara. I know that Kamara is a 3-down running back now, but that isn't the way he started. And he had Mark Ingram as your more standard between the tackles guy with Kamara doing the fancier stuff. So I've sort of envisioned that. I think with Snoop Connor looking really good, I think that allows James Robinson not to have to rush back. I think Robinson is a very good running back, and he would be the idea of having 3 solid running backs in my mind to help Trevor Lawrence transition. It helps your defense. If the defense is good, the running game, they on the offense, they can work with each other, extend the offensive drives, give the defense a refresher. Stout defense allows running games to flourish. I think that could be a possibility for the Jags.
Yeah, actually, I've heard good things about Snoop Connor. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate just a second and say temper expectations. And the only reason I say that is because he hasn't met NFL quality yet.
Oh yeah.
He hadn't done it in the NFL.
Well, that's the
Right? So
caveat for all of this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves the SEC, and he came from the SEC, and yeah, woo-hoo, nobody gives a shit about the SEC because it's not the NFL. The NFL is far superior in both talent, size, and just scheme wise than the SEC. So I don't care what you did in college, and he hasn't done it in the NFL. So therefore, I'm going to temper my expectation. However, Etienne and Trevor Lawrence will not start. They won't play at all in this preseason game. So if you want to tune in to see those guys, don't tune in. Snoop Connor, however,
right,
he will be starting.
So we'll get a chance to see him go up against another defense.
Yes, somebody else. Now, I don't know about you, but when I watch players in the preseason, what I want to see is players constantly making moves, making plays on the other team, beating those other guys one-on-one, because they're about the same skill level. Some of them be practice squad for 2 years. Okay, so they're more used to it. Okay, well, go out there and beat him. If you're good and it's one-on-one and you got to make that dude miss, you're going to make him miss. That's what I want to see. When you're going up against a cornerback that's also a rookie, make the catch, break his ankles once or twice. You can also lose. I'm not saying you got to win every rep, but you better win more than you lose.
I look for vision with running backs. Whatever the offensive line sort of molds into, I want that running back to just go where that gap is, where that pocket appears to be moving. Some running backs, and we've seen it here in Jacksonville, I don't know what it is, we just run up the rear end of some lineman. Like, I don't want to see that. That's what I loved about Robinson, is Robinson will go where the space is and he'll slide out. Then he'll explode through the line. So I want to see guys do that. ETN's a little bit different because he'll be more on the edge. He'll be outrunning people and he might cut it back inside. You'll see some stuff like that. If you don't have that electric speed, then you need that vision. So that's what I'll be looking for Snoop. And I don't know how long he's going to play. With Robinson on the mend, ETN's not playing, so that's your starter right now to match up with ETN. So I don't expect him to play too long.
I would not think so. I would think maybe 2 series, 3 series, maybe. So maybe a quarter and a half at most. Then you get into some of the younger guys. And the thing is that outside of Snoop Connor, we don't have another running back I'm really high on.
Raquel Armstead. I mean, I'm not high on else,
him,
but I'm interested to see the other guys play. Raquel, had some issues, and
I've seen
like
enough.
He had some.
I've seen enough of him. When I've seen him play, because he got time in the regular season a few times. When I've seen him play, he's not all that impressive to me, or he hasn't been all that impressive. So I'm not really worried about that.
Let me throw something at you before we get too deep into what to look out for. Okay. Christian Kirk was asked a question about alpha receiver, and I was curious what you thought about it because, he basically said they have alpha receivers. And, I think typically when the question's asked, what that usually means to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me if you're seeing it the same way. An alpha receiver is your X receiver. And just, quickly, the X is typically your taller, faster guy who runs your deeper routes to sort of clear the defense out. He threatens the defense with his speed. Your wide receiver is sort of your I don't want to say gadget, but he's more your curl routes, your in routes, a little bit more of your gadget to a certain extent. And then you got your slot guy, which is, I think, the Z, who run. And Christian Kirk was the big expenditure, and he was the one that asked the question. And typically everybody knows him as a Z, a slot guy, which is interesting because in Arizona, they had better receivers. So he was almost relegated to that position. And I also expect that he won't change all that much. I think they're going to use him, move him around, but I think he's going to do his damage out of the slot. Now, the question that I have for you is the only thing I can think of that doesn't, well, do you think you need the typical X receiver? Who's going to play the X receiver here? Do we have an alpha? And is it possible that Cooper Kupp could be somewhat, maybe like 60% of like a Cooper Kupp?
Okay, so I think in today's NFL, you don't need a number one. The legitimate, not the legitimate, I'm sorry, that's wrong. The prototypical number one. You don't need a Calvin Johnson. You don't need him to be 6'4", 220, and run a 4.2. It's nice, but you don't need it. They can be smaller, shiftier, as long as they're fast, as long as they can catch. That's all that matters. You typically beat cornerbacks off of your moves anyway. And I mean, breaking to the left, breaking to the right, hesitations, bringing them up, using your hands a little bit to create a small bit of separation along with your cut creates a little bit more separation. And that 1.5 feet is enough is enough in the NFL for you to be open. Okay, so you do that with quickness and speed. Height is nice, so because you could throw a jump ball, right? Do you really need to throw a jump ball if you bring everybody in and you have a quick twitch guy go up and just run straight out toward the almost? How many times have you seen it now where the guy will run just concurrent with the end zone line, but that turn gave him just enough to beat the cornerback? The quarterback puts the ball out in front of him. The guy just runs, grabs it, and he scores. You know, he can fall backwards and score in the end zone.
Yeah, the only caveat or the only pushback I would give you on that is a lot of times the threat of somebody going over top also
that speed, not
creates
size.
that help underneath routes.
I agree, because it drops the secondary back, but that's speed, not size.
Yeah.
And your speed guy doesn't always have to be your alpha, your tall guy, but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for like this big DK Metcalf guy. And it's funny.
Or speed.
Yeah, because Tyler Lockett did most of the damage. Like, I'm glad DK got money, sweet. But Tyler Lockett did a ton of damn damage. You know? So who's the alpha there? You know, who would you call the alpha? Now, truth be told, if somebody asked me if I'm an NFL receiver and somebody asked me if we have alphas, yes, we have alphas. Why? I'm an alpha. Marvin Jones Jr. is an alpha. You know, Zay Jones is an alpha. You know,
but they're not alphas.
Yes. Are we the true number one? No.
Right.
No, we're not. But we're all out, because I think you got to be a bit of an alpha. You got to have that mentality, you know, to play certain positions, cornerback, and you know, and it toes the line between alpha and diva. You know, depending on what breaks down. So to me, he's right. They do have alphas, but do they have a legitimate number one receiver? No, they don't.
Well, I think you brought up a good point about today's NFL. And that was kind of, you know, what I was alluding to with the Cooper Kupp analogy. And because he's definitely, you know, if you would have asked that about the Rams, you would have never, a couple of years ago, you wouldn't have thought Cooper Kupp is an alpha, because he's not the prototypical. And but things change and philosophy changes, offensive philosophy, that sort of thing. So I guess what I'm getting at is it'd be interesting to see, and this game's not going to demonstrate it so much, but moving forward, this can be a subject, how the passing game philosophy and the roles begin to materialize, how good will Kirk be? Can he be a little bit similar to Cooper Kupp? Zay Jones is the X receiver, and that's seems to be where they're running him because he's the inline speed guy. So it's just something to keep an eye on moving forward to see how successful they are and how that fits in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely very much. But if you ask me, and again, if I'm an NFL receiver, I'm an alpha.
So let me ask you this, and this is somebody I've got my eye on for this game. I want to look, speaking of receivers, I want to know
receivers.
I want to know what how I want to see how long LaVisca is going to play, and I want to see if he's going to make any plays.
He might not even play.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that's a possibility?
I think it's definitely a possibility.
Huh.
I think you got 2 years of film on LaVisca. I think it's
Now,
a possibility
if he doesn't
he
play, if he doesn't play, what does that say to you?
Nothing.
Okay.
Zay Jones may not play. Marvin Jones may not play.
Yeah, I'm sort of the opinion that Kurt and both Joneses won't play, which is why I'm thinking you have to play LaVisca.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised if they didn't play him because they
may not even have to play Treadwell. Or Agnew. I mean, Agnew definitely won't be playing, but you don't have. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You don't. I think you have camp bodies. I think you have enough camp bodies that, barring injury or run on injuries at a specific position, you can get through this game just fine.
So who are you going to be looking at in regards to wide receiver then?
Me? Oh, yeah. my boy Jeff Cotton. I don't nobody's talking about Jeff Cotton. No, that in Winningham. You know, I heard a lot of stuff about Winningham coming out of camp. You know, the dude's making plays. So now I want to see it.
Yeah.
And besides, let me ask you a question. Would you take LaVisca, who is a bubble starter, right, and play him with your third string QB or fourth string QB?
Yeah, you would? I would. You got to,
I don't,
and you got to fill a whole game, man. Like I get the caution, but you got to fill a squad.
Yeah, I think I could fill a whole squad, which is backup guys and bubble guys, like roster bubble guys. But yeah, Winningham. I want to see Winningham. I want to see Jeff Cotton. I expect Jeff Cotton to continue where he left off last year, physically beating their other corners. That's what I saw out of Cotton. That's what brought him to my attention. That's who I started watching. And every time he got on the field, when he had a chance, he won.
Tim Jones is somebody whose name's popped up in camp as a wide receiver. Tim Jones.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't know if it's you or if it's me. Maybe my internet was going. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It seems to be okay.
Yeah, so I was saying Tim Jones, the wide receiver, is somebody to keep an eye on. Then also Kevin Austin. Is he still on the team? Because
I haven't heard much about Kevin Austin. I don't know. People,
I heard he sucked.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Every year we get those match. Who was the guy out of Hawaii who would run back kicks? You remember him?
White guy. Yeah, I don't remember.
He was Hawaiian. Dude, people flooded the forums talking about this dude was going to be just the shit. This guy was horrible. He was literally horrible. And every time you see a press conference and you're watching it on YouTube, especially live, you got people who jump in there with Kevin Austin. It was early, and boy, they loved him some Kevin Austin. Oh, watch out for this guy. Now camp started, Pats are on. You ain't hearing nothing. So honestly, again, I think the 6 are almost already taken care of. I don't think we have to worry about that. The camp battle for the 6th spot will be interesting. However, I like dark horses. You know, we all do. We all like the underdogs. Speaking of underdogs, Benny Franklin. Franklin, what do you think about that? That's a guy for you to root for, if nothing more. You both share a name.
Hey, I have no problem with somebody having a really cool name. So, I mean, yeah, you're hearing talk about him, and I guess the thing about him that comes up to me is he's an undrafted guy from Tarleton, something like that, Tarleton State, I think. And we drafted a guy named Gregory Jr. I think that's his name. Of course, he's like Kevin Austin because where's he at? While Benji Franklin's getting all this hype, the guy we actually drafted, and he's also from a small school, some hard to name school. Where's he at? So he's somebody. Will he make a play Thursday? Will you see Junior, the Jersey Junior out there making a play? Or so Franklin, seeing how he plays, seeing the corners. The corners are something to watch because we drafted two. And we've got a free agent that is looking good.
That's making waves.
Chris
Right?
Clay Brooks is still on the team.
Yeah, I don't know that he makes the team. I ain't heard nothing from him either.
Yeah, but he's been on the team for a couple years now, it feels like, and
Did
he
you
always
hear
makes
today,
plays.
dude? Dewey Cox had an INT return for a TD.
Dewey Cox.
Yeah, Dewey.
Yeah, you went back. You went back, man.
No,
you went back in time. He's not on the team anymore.
Whatever. We're gonna call them. We're just gonna merge them into one.
Yeah. No. Hey, what are you gonna say, man? I think he's a good special teams guy.
I think he plays with a lot of heart. It's almost like you just wish you were 0.2 seconds faster, or that you could diagnose faster, or that you would actually tackle Derrick Henry in the hole. Pick your poison. I don't care which one you want to pick.
A lot of people don't want to tackle Derrick Henry in the hole.
I get it, but you are getting paid to do it.
So was it a late season game? I don't remember that one.
I don't know.
I mean, you got to make business decisions sometimes. You are playing on the Jaguars. What are you going to do? If anything, you're helping the team get a better draft pick.
That could be exactly why we suck. If everybody's out there making business decisions.
No, the team's hiring people like Urban Meyer and doing dumb things, drafting Derek Harveys and things like that. That's what's going on. That's why the Jags suck. Anybody else you need to the kicker game.
Oh, pay attention to the kicking game. Yeah, the kicking game has been, well, it is what it is. So I'll be looking. I'll be watching the kicking game. I did see the press conference this afternoon with Doug Peterson, and I do believe that at some point it will work itself out. We'll get somebody. How good that somebody will be when it matters, I don't know. Kickers are one of those things, like when you got one, woo, it's nice. And then when you don't, you don't.
Yeah, it's weird that they made that move so quick to get rid of Matthew Wright. And, they brought the other guy in, and I don't even remember his name now, and he's gone. Then they brought another guy in. So I'm not so certain it gets worked out. But regardless, it'll be something that we should pay attention to because it could cost us a game. And we're definitely going to be in. I mean, if we are as good as we hope, we will need those points.
Yeah, because we'll be in those tight games.
Because we're not going to be that good. Where we don't need a kicker.
It's funny. Another guy to keep an eye on, Buster Brown, Monteric Brown. Keep an eye on him. He's another DB. So, and we may be DBU of the South. Look at all these DBs we got.
Yeah, and it's
They all
interesting
can't
too
play.
because he's making plays out there, and I think he's making them from the corner position. And I kind of thought when they drafted him, they were eyeing him to be free safety, safety position, to
Dude, we got
Dewey
Winger.
competition.
Now we got Winger. Ain't nobody beating him down. If you ain't
Rayshawn.
Derrick Henry, you ain't winning. So
Oh. The
Well-
other guy I had my notes that says we need to look out for is Willie Johnson.
oh, Fast Willie, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's his nickname or not.
Well, you
What's
got a
he
name
play?
like Willie Johnson. That's
You better be fast. All right. What does he play?
I don't know what he's wide receiver, I believe. But
Okay, well, hey.
what
look,
we need to look out for him is special teams. He's like the special team guy.
Okay, well, we have
So-
given you guys 2 receivers, 2 cornerbacks. Told you to pay attention to the kicking game because it may very well matter when the games start actually counting. So yes, pay attention to that. Other than that, just start looking, keep your eyes out for our guys beating theirs. That's what we want to see, consistent wins.
Building blocks, baby steps.
Yeah, other than that, I wish I could say, grab your whatever is some kind of food local to Jacksonville, something decent. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
I guess just grab your beer, sit down, and have a good time.
Jacksonville needs a food.
Yeah, we don't have a food, man. We don't have music. We don't have hardly anything. Like, we got a good music scene, but we don't have like songs specific to Jacksonville. I mean, our best band came up with Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah, what does that say about our city?
What about Limp Bizkit?
I don't think they had anything for Jacksonville, but what do I know? It's been a while. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. That's our podcast for the night. Please hit that like, subscribe button, drop us a comment. Again, we try to answer them. I think we do a pretty good job since we don't get that many.
It's easy.
Yeah. That's one thing we do well. All right, on that note, Duval. Bye, guys.